Hey guys, so I did a little poll on my channel and I asked what kind of videos do you want to see? And the results were quite clear that a lot of people want to see rewrites and my little fan fictions. Now, I don't really know how to approach rewrites so much, but another option that people really want was tier list videos. So I figured I'll just combine the two for now and we'll see how it goes. Now, if you want to see an in-depth version of this with some of my revised, thoughts, most likely as well, then do let me know, because this doesn't have to be the final version of this whatsoever. I could do a proper, in-depth video, but I think doing it this way and then having you guys, give me your thoughts and opinions in the comments, I think could probably help me quite a lot in, developing the final sort of version. So we could do, a proper, full, real edited version of this in the future and not like a tier list video. So I don't know, let me know what you think. So basically what we're going to be doing today is, what if Grady Memorial Hospital, or the Grady Memorial Hospital residents I should say, joined Rick's group. Now basically in season 5, after both Dawn and Beth have been killed, first Amanda Shepherd offers for Rick and his group to stay in the hospital if they want. Rick says no, but basically says that anyone back there, if you want to come with me, you can come. Now, I think he was talking to the wards specifically, not the cops, but basically no one comes with. Everyone wants to stay in their indentured servitude, I guess. So they all leave. The only one who leaves is, of course, Noah. So in this scenario is, what if every single resident of Grady Memorial Hospital decided to leave with Rick? So we basically carry on the rest of season 5 after episode 8 with all of the Grady Memorial Hospital now joining Rick Grimes. Now, this is kind of coming off my most recent lore video where I talk about Grady Memorial Hospital. I figured this would be a cool transition to my next video where I talk about this. So go watch that video if you haven't already. Now, who have we got here? I have decided not to put every single goddamn, survivor on here. I've only decided to put Rick's group at that time. And obviously, Rick's group grows and we get more people like Aaron and Deanna and Jesse and all that. And I might mention them in passing, but I want to kind of specifically focus on the fates of Rick's group and how it affects them, and also the fates of the Grady Memorial Hospital residents. Because I think if I go so in depth and I talk about every single character down the line, I just think that's going to muddy things and it's going to make things far too confusing for me, and it's not going to be very fun because I'm going to have to be trying to balance a billion different characters. So although yes, we will see other characters, just assume they're pretty much doing what they do in the main show regardless, okay? So yeah. Anyway, the characters we have are, of course, Tyrese, because Tyrese was still alive when they left the hospital, Noah, Gabriel, Daryl, Tara, Carol, Eugene, Michonne, Rick, Judith, who obviously at this point was still a baby, Glenn, Maggie, Sasha, Rosita, Abraham, Carl. And then from the hospital, we have Dr. Stephen Edwards, we have Amanda Shepherd, we have Lucari, we have Alvarado. Give me a second. Alvarado. I think it's Alvarado, right? Alvarado. Alvarado. There you go. Tanaka, Bello, McGinley, Franco, Percy. And then there are a few more extras, but I've just decided to pick these 3. So we have the woman who shuts the door on Beth, the woman who serves food, and the one woman in the wheelchair. All right, here we go. There are, like I said, there's more extras who are wards, but I couldn't be bothered putting every single one on. Rightio, here we go. So, obviously after they leave the hospital, they are heading to DC, and I'm going to assume that all the cops and everyone is on board with going to DC, thinking that there will be some safety there. But on the way, they decide to obviously stop off at Noah's community, where Tyrese, obviously in the show, gets bitten and dies. Now, I think in this scenario, because the cops specifically, maybe one cop in particular, let's say Lucari was the one who actually kidnapped Noah. I'm not sure if he ever discloses which cop it was, but we could have a cop who feels kind of guilty because they were involved in Noah's kidnapping, that they basically go with Noah too. So I think a lot of these cops would probably accompany this mission, and potentially Tyrese doesn't even bother. And that's what's going to happen in this scenario. I don't think Tyrese bothers even going on that mission. So let's instead say it's someone like Lakari, or potentially, let's say Lakari, yeah. And I think in this scenario, after seeing the photos of Noah's family and seeing the destruction that happened to his estate, and seeing all the death, and the fact that as officers, if they went here and brought all these people in, and they could have protected all these people, right? If they brought all these people to Grady Memorial Hospital, they all would have been alive. And that immense guilt kind of sends him in like a freeze mode, where Noah's brother bites Lakari on the arm, and of course Lakari basically gets a similar death to Tyrese, albeit there's no hallucinations. Now, yes, he is not exactly a big character to get this death, but I think it could still work regardless, right? You know, he has a sad death and everyone's trying to get him back. And I think as well, seeing as Lakari and like Shepard were like the two main officers, I'm going to say there was like a little faction. And after Lakari dies, some of these cops are they're a little less like, okay, we probably shouldn't have bothered with this stupid mission. This was dumb. And I think there's a bit of like infighting a little bit now in Rick's group after Lakari's death. So it doesn't have absolutely no meaning, but it does mean that Tyrese survives. So on the road, when they're obviously all walking down the road like they do in season 5, and they're all starving and stuff, I think in this scenario it's going to be a bit more brutal, because the food is going to be less. The water is going to be less because there's more people, right? And I think in this scenario, when they're fighting the walkers, I think a few extra casualties are going to occur. Now, obviously, if everyone's stepping forward, we have the sort of, I guess, the weaker people at the back, and the stronger people stepping forward to fight the dead. And I think a lot of the Grady cops will be, there fighting the dead too. I think Sasha, in her rage, will, instead of just slashing Abraham a little, I think she's actually going to get one of these cops killed, right? I'm just going to go with... Alvarado, okay? It has nothing to do with my failure to pronounce his name. And yeah, I think Alvarado, unfortunately, bites the bullet. And this is going to cause even more ruckus in the group, okay? And these cops, they're going to be like full on. Sayonara, see you later, we're splitting up from the group. Now, I think Shepard wants to keep the group together, though. But I'm going to say there's like a little faction. Let's say it's led by McGinley, all right? And so the cops some are going to stay with Rick's group. Edward's obviously staying with Rick's group because he wants to be in, a big collective. But I'd probably say the wards would too. All the wards would probably want to stay too, right? At this point. But I think the rest of the cops, led by McGinley, they all leave. So it's just now the wards, Amanda Shepard, and Edwards, right? So the rest of the cops, they're currently gone, all right? They've left. Not Percy. Percy's staying with us, don't worry. So this is about the time that Aaron shows up, and, well, actually he was watching them the whole time, and he sees that there is a rift within the group. And I think there is a chance, because Aaron obviously thought that they were good people, and seeing a rift in the group might make him question that, and he might not actually reach out to Rick and Co. in the end. Thus, they just head to DC, I guess. But I don't really like that, and there's not really much I can do with that. So in this scenario, I'm just going to say that Aaron, despite the little ruckus that occurs, he decides to allow all of the members in. So everyone joins. Everyone joins. From this lady to Tyrese in Alexandria. Now, within Alexandria, of course, they get jobs and stuff. Now, I don't know if Michonne would get the police officer job, considering there's like a police officer here. So I think it's actually Rick and Amanda who are the two police officers instead of Rick and Michonne. And I think when Rick goes on his batshit crazy rant, I still think Amanda might be the one to knock him out. Or maybe it still is Michonne, obviously, albeit she's not a police officer. And when the Pete Anderson thing occurs, Deanna has no trouble in just simply exiling Pete Anderson because they have a new doctor now. Although she's probably a little skeptical at first, I think she has no trouble just exiling Pete, and then Stephen Edwards, of course, takes his place as the town's resident doctor. Obviously, there's Denise there in the background too to help out. So Pete is simply just exiled, and I'm just going to say Pete probably just dies out there on his own. I mean, yeah. So, but this probably gives Ron a little less hostility towards Rick, and I don't think he would want to kill Rick, because I think Pete being exiled was probably, like, he'll see it. If anything, he'll blame Deanna more than he'll blame Rick, right? Because Deanna was the one who decreed it. So, yeah. So, moving on, we have... I need to stop saying so. Moving on, we have the Season 6 show. Obviously, Morgan shows up too, but he's not on this list, okay? The Season 6 show. So, Season 6. Season 6. First time again. So, what do we have? The big mega herd. Now, obviously, Rick finds this because he is burying Pete. So, in this scenario, they don't find the big mega herd. And I'm not going to write around this because I generally don't think they will find it, right? Which means that... I need to stop saying right as well. Which means the mega herd simply eventually breaks off from the quarry and travels straight to Alexandria. Now, I think the wolves also attack Alexandria pretty much at the same, or just before, actually. Just before the mega herd. But because Rick and Co.'s group are all at Alexandria at the time, I don't think the wolves get much success. But they are going to kill Wheelchair Lady. They probably are going to kill Panicked Woman, and they are going to kill the Soup Lady, okay? I'm just killing off all the extras. Percy, though, I think Percy will survive, okay? I'm going to say that Edwards protects him. I don't know. Edwards steps up a little and stabs a wolf, okay? And protects Percy. I know, Edwards would be treating Holly with Denise, I guess. But, yeah. Anyway, Percy will survive. I don't want to kill him off yet. So that's the start of Season 6 anyway. And then the herd attacks on top of that, right? So the wolves are defeated, but then the herd. But it isn't just like the No Way Out herd. It's the No Way Out herd times 2. Because half of this herd is obviously driven away by Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl in the show. But in this scenario, that doesn't happen. So the whole herd arrives at Alexandria. So this is twice the size. There is absolutely zero way that these characters are fighting off that herd. It's not happening, because they barely are able to defeat half of it. So I don't know if they can really defeat a whole herd. I just don't know if it's possible. I think what will probably happen is a lot of them will get stuffed in the houses. Rick will see it as a bust, so they'll do the guts trick, right? They'll do the guts trick, and they'll try their best to get out of there. But I think with the walls coming down, a lot of these characters aren't making it. And that's where it's kind of tricky. I don't know who goes. Oh, I forgot the whole mission in Season 5 as well, where Noah dies. Probably should... Let's rewind to that real quick. Yeah, the Noah dies mission. I think Noah still dies, to be honest. I think Noah's probably still a goner in that one, unfortunately. Because I can't think of who else would be sent on that mission that would, like, change it necessarily. They're not sending Percy, and they're not sending any of the cops because they're, like, way above that. So, yeah, I think Noah still dies the same way. Anyway, fast forward back. Okay, we're now back to the mega herd breaking in. I feel like a lot of these characters have to die. I don't want to kill Percy yet. I want to protect Percy for a little bit, so you can sue me. So I think one character that I might just kill off in the mega herd might be Tyrese. He'd get like a similar death to how Morgan does in the comics, where basically he gets bitten, amputated, and it doesn't work. Oh, hang on a minute. That's how he dies in the show in Season 5. Yeah, pretty much. I've basically given him the same death, but I've like let him live for a bit longer. I can't think who else could really go. And I feel like Tyrese would be like someone to protect people to the bitter end and put his own life at risk whilst doing so. Not that like a lot of these other characters wouldn't do that either, but I think Tyrese to a special extent, an extra extent. But anyway, whilst they're doing the guts trick, I think they eventually get through. I don't think anyone else die. I think there's a chance that Eugene could like squirm it up, but he does have that whole "no one gets to die today" here speech, right? So the characters leave Alexandria and are now on the search for a new home. And maybe just to make things easier, we can say that everyone in Alexandria died. Everyone else, maybe. But I guess, like, a few characters were still around. I guess Rick's still with Jesse as well. Maybe Jesse died during that whole thing. Yeah, maybe Jesse and Ron and everyone who did die died. And Spencer, okay? No Spencer. We could just say that Aaron's there. Like I said, they're only footnotes. We're not really focusing on the other characters. Now, you might be thinking, well, what the hell happens here? They've left Alexandria. And what about the whole Savior stuff? Well, here's the thing. I think after they abandoned Alexandria, because it's been completely destroyed by the Herd, and the Herd is now, like, occupying the entire thing, and there's no way that they can fight the Herd, and even if they tried, they would probably all perish because it's twice the size, like I said. I think eventually they stumble upon the Hilltop. That's correct. And when they stumble upon the Hilltop and they meet Gregory, they are not really welcomed into the group at first, but Jesus, of course, seeing that there's a baby and knowing that Maggie is pregnant after learning about that, and let's say that they save those people as well. Basically, they're all let in. They're all in rough state. They're in need of a new home, and so they are basically granted a new home by Jesus. Gregory's not so cool with it, though. And whilst they have their new home, they learn that they, of course, are under the occupation of a group called the Saviors. Now, Rick is not on board with this at all. He's like, no way, Jose, all right? Oh, no way, Jesus, sorry. No way, Jesus, right? He says, we need to end these Savior folks. So the satellite outpost pretty much plays out the same way, although some of these Grady cops, not these guys, though, because these guys aren't they didn't join us, did they? They defected. Some of the Grady cops... well, I guess there's only one Grady cop. Some of the Grady members help, mainly Shepard. And I think at this point, we learn as well that these guys were Saviors, okay? They joined the Saviors because they really liked the old way, the old system, okay? They liked how the hospital worked, where they basically enslaved people. So when they found the Saviors, they really didn't care. Now, I don't think all of them are going to be within the satellite outpost, but let's say Tanaka is, okay, one of them. And they kill Tanaka during the Savior satellite raid. But they're like, holy shit, wait, he's a cop. He's one of ours. Like, Amanda might find him. Like, you know, she shoots and kills him, realizes who it is, and is like, wait, these guys have joined the Saviors? And that's when they know that there must be more Saviors too, because obviously Amanda's like, there's no way all the other three died too. So when they have Primo, obviously after Carol and Maggie get kidnapped, they're going to guess that's going to happen the same way. They, of course, I guess, interrogate him a bit more. Maybe they learn there are more Saviors. Who knows? And yeah, they're a bit spooked. So I think at this point, Rick's probably ready for war with the Saviors, knowing that there probably is a few more of them. So he probably readies the Hilltop a little bit. But I think Gregory somewhat betrays him, allows the Saviors to storm into the Hilltop under Rick's nose, and I think all of Rick and his friends are put on their knees, okay, or at least some of them. Now, who is going to get the Negan death? Who is going to get Lucille in this scenario? Okay, well, it's going to have to be the toughest looking bastard, so it's probably still going to be Abraham. Nothing's going to change there, sadly. And will there be another one? Well, I guess if the same reaction happens, I guess Glenn also dies. So, I'm sorry, I've not changed these deaths. I know that makes it a little bit boring, but hey-ho, what can you do? Now, I'm going to guess the whole relationship with Sasha probably still happened too, but obviously the circumstances are now very different because they all live in the Hilltop now, and Maggie doesn't get to go to the Hilltop and Rick goes to Alexandria. That doesn't work. It just sort of, yeah, it's like a new faction of the Hilltop, but Negan is sorting things out. Right, he's subjugating them a little bit more, and I think probably Negan takes a bit of a bigger role with the Hilltop and Simon kind of steps back, because obviously in the show Simon's kind of like the guy who runs the Hilltop's supplies, but in this scenario Negan's gonna do it. And then we have, what do we have? We have season. Oh, and of course, these guys are all going to be involved too, right? We see Bello and McGinley and Franco, and they're also Saviors as well. So anyway, we have a lot of boring stuff. I think the Oceanside stuff probably probably doesn't happen, because why would Tara go on a supply run when they're a part of like this big thriving like farming community? Doesn't really make much sense. So I don't think that happens. Obviously the meeting with Dwight never happened, so I don't think Denise dies the same way. Maybe she just dies after the big mega herd happened. I'm just trying to get a bunch of plot points that would no longer happen in this scenario. Obviously all the back and forth with the Hilltop wouldn't happen because they're all living in the Hilltop. And then I guess the Oceanside stuff wouldn't happen. So yeah, the scavenger stuff wouldn't happen either, because obviously they're trying to find guns for the saviors. They're trying to find supplies for the saviors, and that's what causes them to take the boat supplies, which then causes them to. I guess that could still happen whilst they're looking for supplies. Yeah, I suppose that will still happen. So they could probably still get the scavengers to be on board. Maybe that entire mutiny happens the same way, but with at the Hilltop instead of Alexandria. So I suppose Sasha probably still dies the same way. Unfortunately, I know it's a bit boring. All right, Savior War. All right, so we have the Savior War now. Okay, sorry. Mine went a little bit. So Savior War. Boom, boom, boom. We're shooting at stuff. We're defeating saviors. Cool, cool, cool. I'm going to say that Bello is one of the saviors they take out in one of the outposts as well. But I think Franco, this guy, okay, instead of like Regina or Gavin or something, or maybe even just, yeah, maybe even with them. Oh, the whole Rosita shooting Negan, I don't think happens, really, because I think the scenarios are too different. So I'm just going to say that never happened. Rosita didn't shoot Negan, so Eugene was never kidnapped. And so, yeah, they're going to the bullet factory too, so they got more bullets. But I guess after the capture, not the capturing, after the scavengers betrayed Rick, he knows about the bullet making. Like, one of them tipped him off about it. So I think eventually Eugene does get kidnapped, and instead of like becoming a full-on savior and being like an absolute traitor, an absolute treasonous bastard, Eugene instead like is captured, and he's making bullets for Negan against his will. All right, so it's a bit different there. But yeah, I think Bello is probably one of the ones that dies in the outpost, and I think McGinley, this guy's the big bad. Okay, I think he's kind of in charge of an outpost, right? Or not, maybe not in a whole outpost, but he's like one of Negan's top guys now. He sort of takes the place of Eugene in the show. Anyway, Carl does not die. All right, Carl does not get bitten because the terrain is very different around the Hilltop. Would he really be out like scavenging and stuff? Maybe he would be out there and he would save good old Sadiq. But maybe because Sadiq's in a completely different area. Obviously, that was close to Alexandria. I think, in fact, Sadiq might just never be found, and he'll just carry on his merry way. But it's okay because we've got Dr. Stephen Edwards. Yeah. I'm keeping Carl alive. I don't give a shit, all right? Maybe that doesn't really... Or maybe he's got a friend with him. Maybe he's got, I don't know, Michonne with him. Because Michonne wasn't as beaten because she wasn't on a tower. Because they would have had more fighters at the Hilltop too, so maybe the liberation of the Hilltop went very different to the liberation of Alexandria. Michonne wasn't as injured. Either way. So, Carl survives. Yes. So, the battle continues. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang, bang. Who else can die? I don't know. I think the Savior War probably goes about the same way. Let's be honest. So, in the end, in the final battle, I think Eugene, the bullet, the big thing that sort of spins the tide of war was obviously the bullet making, but also the fact that they got free from the sanctuary. But I think I felt like they were going to get free from the sanctuary regardless. Like, it wasn't exactly like what Eugene came up with was like a ingenious 400 IQ plan. It was just shoot the zombies to make a wall and then run out and shoot some more zombies. That was all he came up with, which was like stupid. So in my opinion, I think they get out regardless. It just takes a bit longer, baby. I think they attack Rick's group, whatever. Maybe a few people die. I don't think any of our main characters die, though. I don't want to kill any main characters off. And I think eventually they make it to the field where they have their final battle. But obviously the thing that turns the tide, like I was saying, was Eugene's faulty bullets. Now in this scenario, if he were to make faulty bullets, they would know from the jump. So I think in this scenario instead, Eugene creates some sort of explosive device, and in the last moment when Rick's group's about to all be killed, Eugene, who's also been, captured, he's there to witness it, right? He's there to witness the events of this happening, because Negan wants him to see, as well as Gabriel, who's captive. I think Eugene makes some sort of explosive device and self-sacrifices himself, and also Gabriel, unfortunately. Both him and Gabriel die in this big explosion, and it also takes out Negan, so no Negan, and no saviors. They're all dead. So there we are. R.I.P. to all of them. Goodbye. Season 9. We're on to a whole new world. Now, the saviors are still a part of Rick's faction, but a lot of them were blown up. And I don't think a lot of the dissent would necessarily... Because I think Negan being captured and Negan still being there was a part of the saviors' dissent, but also the Oceanside killing. But there won't be any dissent because the Oceanside aren't here. We never reconnected with the Oceanside. So it's okay. We don't even know those people exist. So instead... We're just the bridge gets built and that's it, really, because there's no herds get distracted, and so Rick never blows up. So that's nice. So I guess then we skip 6 years into the future. Oop, dog. And 6 years into the future, we have the Whisperer War stuff. So we have the Scar stuff as well, actually. So yeah, I feel like Percy was guarding the pantry and he's killed by the children. And also, would it be Rick? Because if Rick was there, I feel like Rick would be going after Judith too. So maybe Rick and Michonne were the ones who got the scars, not Michonne and Daryl. But I want to say that I don't know if Michonne is going to be Judith's kid, because I think Rick has a much better but much more... A woman he can relate to a lot more, and that's Amanda Shepherd, okay? A survivor, but also a police officer. So I think in this scenario, Rick and Amanda get together, not Rick and Michonne. I'm doing it. What would that be? A Ramanda shipping. Ramanda. I ship Ramanda. So yeah, Rick and Amanda are a couple in this scenario. Anyway, moving on. The scars thing, yeah, Percy's killed by the children. Very sad, but I had to kill him off eventually. Oh, there was the Hilltop attack as well in season 8. I didn't really think about that. I guess a lot of people would probably die in that Hilltop attack. Oh well, screw it. I'm not killing off any of them. Oh shit, wait. These guys also would have died. They would have been killed in the explosion as well, obviously, in season 8. Maybe I should throw in another for the Hilltop attack. Oh well, we'll leave it there. Anyway, yeah, season 9. Anyway, moving on, we have the Pike deaths, okay? The Pike deaths. So a bunch of characters will get piked. Now, in the show, obviously Tara is one of them. But I think in this scenario, who would be the leader of Hilltop? It would probably be Rick at this point. Who would be the leader of the Kingdom? Probably Carol and Ezekiel, right? And then you have another few people, but the saviors are pretty much gone. I imagine a lot of the current saviors have just implemented into the Hilltop and the Kingdom at this point. Obviously, there is no Alexandria. It's gone. They never bothered restoring it because the Hilltop was their new home. There is no Oceanside neither, because we don't have... So, would the fair really happen? The fair would just be the fair between two communities. Maybe actually the scavengers. I don't know. Or would the scavengers still die? I don't know. Would Rick bother to get them? Maybe not. Let's say the scavengers were a community too, but then would the scavengers really want to be a community? Probably not. So I guess the fair is literally just between Hilltop and Kingdom. But maybe it's because it's like multiple people, right? There's more than... It's like, yes, we're former saviors and we're Alexandrians and we're all this, right? I don't know. Let's just say the fair still happens, okay? It'd be boring if it doesn't. So anyway, there's some Pike deaths. I feel like the Pike deaths would probably be Carol, because she's like a clear leader, the queen of the Kingdom. I'm going to have to pick 2 from these characters selected. I'm just going to have to. And I think the other one I think the other one I might be boring, and I might just say Tara. Okay, it's also Tara. So yeah, 2 Pike deaths, both Carol and Tara, both dead. R.I.P. All right. Season 10. We go into season 10. And of course, we have a lot of weird storylines. No one big really dies in season 10, do they? I can't think. Oh, there's Sadiq, I guess, but he doesn't exist. Oh, I guess actually then, I guess Stephen Edwards can get the Sadiq death. Yeah, I guess he gets strangled to death by Dante. I think that could work, to be fair. Maybe he was also the guy who witnessed all the beheadings. So yeah, Stephen Edwards, he gets strangled to death by Dante. R.I.P. And then we have the big Whisperer Wars. And especially because like the Whisperers basically just need to full frontal attack Hilltop. Because at this point as well, the kingdom would have fallen, right? The kingdom would have fallen from like all of its old age and its like decayingness. So everyone will be within the Hilltop. And yes, there's more fighters now to fight against the Whisperers in the Hilltop, but they're also in one location. And so they try to flee and they're unable to. They have to all make a final stand at the Hilltop, but there's a lot of them. And I think this would result in just a lot of deaths. Also, Eugene's not there to do the whole Commonwealth stuff, so how the frick do we get to the Commonwealth? I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure that out in a second. I think there has to be another death within the Hilltop. I can't lie. And I might just go... Oh. No, I don't want to do it for the sake of it. There's no more deaths in the Hilltop. All these guys, they retreat. They manage to survive, okay? They manage to survive, and they make it out. And eventually... Wait, because there's no infiltration of Alpha. I guess they kill Alpha in another way, okay? There is no Negan, because Negan died. I guess they send someone else. Someone else gets the job. Maybe Daryl doesn't. Maybe Daryl pretends to be like a prisoner or some shit. He gets in there. He gets down and dirty with Alpha. And then he kills Alpha. He has this final fight with Beta. They kill Beta. They all survive. Good riddance. Alright, then we have the COVID episodes. So does Daryl still have his girlfriend? Probably not, because... he's not looking for Rick. But maybe, I don't know, maybe he's just out in the wilderness anyway and he finds Leah. Maggie probably still goes with Georgie and therefore like helps to create Meridian. And so she still has her whole relationship with the Reapers. So I think she probably comes back at the end too. Michonne obviously doesn't need to go off to look for Rick because Rick's right there. Look at him. So we don't have to do that whole plot line. What else do we have in the COVID episodes? We have one more with Gabriel and Aaron, but there's no Gabriel anymore. He got blown up by Eugene. So I suppose we just move on to season 11. Now, how does the group find the Commonwealth? Obviously, this would happen in season 10. Now, I think both Gabriel and Eugene were obsessed with that little radio. Eugene more so. But I'm going to say that Rosita probably carries it on in like Eugene's legacy, because and Gabriel's legacy, because both of them liked that goddamn well, actually Eugene did. At that point Gabriel had no interest in radios, but let's say that Rosita is like, oh well, Eugene would have loved like the radio and stuff, and like we need to find more people and all that, to help us with the Whisperer War especially. So I think maybe Rosita was on the radio. She's like a jack of all traits, so I think she goes on the mission to the Commonwealth, probably along with some other people. Maybe the same people she goes in with in the show. Maybe it was with Ezekiel and all that too. She heads to the Commonwealth. She finds it, and eventually she brings in all the people. But before that, we of course have the Meridian fight. So Maggie, of course, in the show goes with her Meridian friends. Daryl goes too. And also she brings Gabriel and Alden. Now, let's say that Alden's still going, but we have no Gabriel. So who's going to replace Gabriel in this scenario? Well, obviously it's going to be fucking Rick, like clearly. And I think the two closest women in his life, Shepard and Michonne, would probably also accompany. So this is a much more like forceful group. But obviously the Reapers are pretty fucking tough. And I don't think Daryl's doing no infiltration. I guess he could still do some infiltration. I suppose there's nothing to stop him. Yeah. So I guess he does his infiltration, but I this one is tricky, actually. Because I guess there's more people, so I guess they just defeat the Reapers quicker. I mean, they do have Rick Grimes on the team. And Michonne. So, yeah, I'm not going to lie. The Reapers are done. And I think Leah's done, too. So, bye, Leah. Maybe there's a bit of a rift here, though. Anyway, whatever. We move on to the Commonwealth. So, within the Commonwealth, of course, the major conflicts, really, let's just focus on them where people die. You obviously have the death of Sebastian Milton. Who would do that? I don't think anyone would in this group of characters. Maybe actually Carl. Yeah, I feel like Carl could kill him. Yeah, I think Carl kills Sebastian Milton. There you go. Him and Carl have a bit of a disagreement, blah, blah, blah. Carl pushes him. Maybe Sebastian goes after Enid or whoever Carl's dating at that point. And so, yeah, Carl pushes Sebastian Milton in front of the zombie and he gets killed. R.I.P. So Carl is to be executed, and Ricky Dicky Doodog Grimes is not going to be accepting of that. So he, of course, does the full frontal attack on the Commonwealth. But, well, he wants to build up the forces. But obviously Carl, keeping Carl in safety, because he's not an idiot. He knows that, attacking the Commonwealth straight away is going to be, like, insane because they have no forces. They only have, like, them and their allies. They need to actually have, like, a grassroots militia, to actually coup the government. They can't just have their band of merry fuckwits roll in there and just get smoked. And then Carl gets killed anyway. So Rick wants to plan accordingly and correctly. But Daryl over here, he's a hothead, and he's like, yo, ever since you killed Leah, blah, 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 you've been a pussy, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Or maybe not pussy, but yeah. He's like, oh, how come you get to do things your way, but I can never get to do things my way, and never get to do things other way. And maybe Daryl has, like, a lot of supporters behind him too. People who are like wanting to do it, and maybe also Maggie's kind of supporting Daryl as well because they've always been very close. And so Daryl is like ready to lead an army. Like he's pretty much got Rick's like he's led an army to Pamela when Rick's having like a meeting with Pamela. Daryl storms in with his army and he's ready to start a war right here, right now. And I think Rick is forced to execute his oldest friend. Okay, because basically this choice is between the death of his son or the death of his best friend. Because what Daryl's doing is not going to happen. It's not going to work. He is like hot-headed, okay? He thinks that just because they took out a bunch of fucking mercenaries, they now can take out an entire army. He's deluded, okay? And I could believe Daryl doing that. Some might say it's a bit out of character, but like, I don't know. Like Daryl's always been like, we can do anything if we're together, this small, like he has been a little optimistic at times. And I think that could like fall into this too. But also I feel like this death could really work for Daryl as well. So yeah, yikes. Anyway, so he survives Carl, but I think Rick's also really mad at Maggie for this. So that will cause her to fuck off to New York. Anyway, moving forward. We have the final Commonwealth death. So I think eventually the variant walkers will probably come around. They'd break into the Commonwealth. That sort of shitstorm happens the same way. Does Judith get shot? Maybe. Let's say Judith gets shot. Why not? And I think we can kill Rosita like the same way that she dies. Ooh, actually, I feel like Michonne would be a better one. But then it goes to Rosita. We've already killed off Daryl, so I changed my mind. It goes to good old Rosita. Now, I don't think Rick needs to die. I don't think he needs to get executed by Pamela. I don't think that really needs to happen. I think how it works in the show is very different to the comics. And I'm not going to try and force it just because it's in the comics. I don't think it would be natural. So I'm just going to kill off Rosita the same way I kind of killed off, the same way she dies in the show. Which means, who dies in the spin-offs? So the ones who live probably wouldn't happen because obviously Jadis, I guess, just kidnaps someone else. Maybe she kidnaps Aaron. She kidnaps, I don't know, kidnaps Enid or someone random, and that's how she buys her way into the CRM. Either way, who cares? So would the CRM stuff really happen? Probably not, but let's say somehow on a mission, Rick finds Jadis. And decides to, he decides to go see what she's up against, right? See what she's doing, and then as a result, he gets kidnapped. But maybe Michonne follows the trail, so we can do the whole CRM storyline. But Rick's not obviously CRM trained. But I feel like in this scenario, why would Michonne be following him? It'd be Amanda Shepherd, his woman. Amanda Shepherd would follow him, and I think in this scenario, I feel like in escaping, Amanda Shepherd probably dies. And then Michonne happens, okay? Michonne happens in time. Yeah. So there we go. I feel like who survives? I just threw that in as random. Don't really count that. Anyway, in this rewrite, in this what if, okay, these guys all survive. So Rick, Michonne, Judith, Carl, and Maggie, okay? Maggie's dead too. So anyway, that's my little rewrite. I hope you enjoyed. It probably got a little bit crazy at the end there. I do apologize, but let me know how I could improve. And if you want to see like an actual full-on, properly edited version of this video, then let me know, because I'd be interested in doing that. And I'll leave the tier down below if you want to do your own little thing of how it work out. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.